Hi YouTubers! So I just wanted to make a quick and short video on how to deal with preceptors as a new graduate nurse. And I think this topic is so important because as a new nurse, your preceptor really shapes who you are as a nurse, really shapes your practice, can have an influence on how you practice as a nurse. Um, and they're very critical for this stage in your life. So it's important to have a few tips on how to deal with them in a good way, where you form in a good relationship. So this is just a few things that I've learned from my experience. It may not work for everyone, just to share with you guys. So my first tip is to have a good relationship with your nurse manager or supervisor, whoever the person is that's above you and the preceptor. Make sure you have a good relationship with them. And the reason is, dealing with a preceptor, there's different personalities. Sometimes the personality that you have would not mesh well with the personality of the preceptor, and there may be conflicts. There's something may happen that goes wrong, and you want to have an open communication with your nurse supervisor. You want to be able to communicate with them, and really advocate for yourself and inform your nurse manager that, hey, maybe you didn't have a good learning experience with this nurse preceptor. You don't have to put the nurse preceptor down if something happened that really upset you. You don't want to critique them harshly, and especially since this is a professional professional environment that you're in. You just want to communicate, hey, you didn't have a good learning experience with working with this particular preceptor, right? You don't have to put anyone down. You don't have to go into details. And from there, the preceptor, the nurse manager can work with you to find someone that is more compatible with you, to find someone that works better with you, right? Because the goal is for you to have a good learning experience. That's the goal, so that you can give safe patient care, right? So it's important to have that communication. Have their number, save their number in your phone, say hello to them, always update them on how things are going with you. Because you know what? I had a personal experience where I had a difficult experience with a preceptor, and I communicated with this with my nurse manager. And one thing that he said was that he really appreciates me communicating to him how I felt, and also about the experience that I had, because other people would have just quit, right? So from there, he was able, to work around things, match me with someone else who I work so great with. And I'm like completely happy that I'm working with this particular person. So you really have to advocate for yourself, communicate, open up, open your mouth. If you don't say something is wrong, no one will know, and no one will find ways to help you. Okay? So my second tip is to not take things personally. I think it's important to let things go. If your preceptor, maybe, especially working as a nurse, it is sometimes it's very stressful. Oftentimes it's stressful, right? You're dealing with patients. You're trying to make sure that the care that you're giving your patients is safe. And that's a heavy responsibility, a very important responsibility that you have. So you, within that environment, especially if you're in a high acuity unit, you're in an environment that's very stressful. Personalities, you know, people can get frustrated and easily frustrated, very quick tempered. Um, and that's just the reality of it. People get frustrated. We'll get frustrated with you if do make a mistake, you do something wrong, you're not quick enough, um, or you're not meshing well with them. You will see eyes rolling. You will see maybe even people talking about you. There's different things that you will see. So don't take things personal. Learn how to let things go. If you make a mistake, learn from it and move on. The less mental energy you have on things that are negative, the better it is for you. And that goes um, well with my third tip that I have, to be positive. Make sure that you're positive. If you had a bad experience with someone, with your preceptor, don't show, I sometimes, especially, working on the unit, I don't think it's wise to if you're upset, to show that you're upset. Keep things professional. Learn how to, you get at that moment a negative feedback or someone critiques you on the floor, even though that's, not appropriate at that time to do so. Just don't be angry and just don't show that. You can address things later, if you need to, at the appropriate time. But while you're working with your preceptor, something goes wrong, don't, take it and have a poker face. Basically, it helps. And it also helps to protect you too, because yeah, sometimes you'll be in an experience where maybe your preceptor doesn't have your best interests at heart, and maybe they're going through their own problems, or issues, and they want to transfer that energy to you. The most valuable thing that you can do in that instance is to have a poker face and just show people that, hey, you're have this is going on with you, but you have your boundary, you have your emotional, wall. And it's not to say that you are going to be a doormat, but don't allow someone else's emotional energy to alter your own emotional energy. And one thing that helps is to be observant. That's another tip. Be observant, and if you see that they're frustrated, acknowledge it. Let them know, hey, you look frustrated. So you can, show them what they're doing. So maybe if they're conscious of, hey, yeah, maybe I am frustrated, they can change, right? So that's another tip. Another tip that I have is to talk to someone. Have someone to talk to, especially if you have, you have a peer you can talk to who's a fellow nurse. Talk to them. Um, Talk to them about your day. Have a sounding board so that if, something happened, maybe you over exaggerated it, or maybe it's not that big of a deal. So if you're talking to someone, they'll help you to understand, hey, maybe that's not a big of a deal, or maybe, hey, that is a huge problem, that is a big deal, get out of there. So have someone that you can talk to, that who will gladly listen to you and give you feedback to. Another tip that I have is to always ask for feedback. So with your preceptor, at the end of the day, ask for feedback. Talk to them. Ask them, how did you do today? Be open with them. There's always room for improvement. You can improve in any situation that you're in. Someone always knows more than you. Your preceptor, will have a lot of knowledge. So ask them how you did. And that's another thing. Be open with your preceptor. If you're not able to handle a patient load, maybe the goal is for you to work with 4 patients or 5 patients at this time, but you're only able to work with 3. You're only able to provide safe patient care to 3 patients, let them know. Let them know, hey, I cannot handle that right now. Or let them know, oh, I need help with this. Communicate. Have an open communication with your preceptor too. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't, if you need help at the moment, let them know. Sometimes people don't know how to help you. You have to open your mouth and you have to let them know, right? And another tip is that your number one priority as a nurse is safe patient care. You want to make sure that your patients are safe at the end of the day. So to give you a personal experience with my, I had an experience with a difficult preceptor where, my unit, it's a very intense unit, very fast paced. It's a cardiac step down unit and it's crazy on that floor. We have 6 patients. It's crazy. So when I was passing meds and the preceptor, while I was passing meds, there was one particular medication that I came across. I think it was an antidepressant. I didn't know what the medication was for. So our computer system has this, this ability where you can look up the drug right then and there before you get it. You can just, look it up. What is it? Is it an antidepressant? What does it do? What are some things to look out for? Your computer, or I don't know if your computer has it, but most of the time computers have that ability where you can look drugs up, right? And it's important to do that. If you're giving a patient a medication, you should know what medication you're giving. You should be able to educate your patients on, hey, okay, if they ask you a question, what is this drug for? You should be able to answer it. If you're right there administering that med, don't wait until you're right there. Oh, let me check what it is. No, before you give them, make sure you know what you're giving, right? So, okay, so going back to the story, I had a medication that I came across and I didn't know what it was for. So my preceptor is standing right beside me and I, quickly went to go look it up. Like, what is this drug? And she said, no. We don't have time for that, okay? You're working on a cardiac floor. You're supposed to know what drugs, different types of drugs. You have to look up drugs on your own time. We don't have time for this. Blah, blah, blah. That is just, sometimes you will get into a situation like that and you're just like, whoa, but that's not safe. That is just like, I should know. Yeah, I'm a new nurse. I'm not going to know everything. And at that moment, you should communicate. Not at that moment, but afterwards, right? When it's appropriate, communicate. Hey, that's not safe. Make sure you're doing the safest thing for your patient while you're working with someone. And always remember, as a new nurse, you have your license, okay? So, and another thing that she had mentioned, she said, I'm standing right here next to you. Go ahead and give the drug. I know what the drug is for. Doesn't matter. You have your own license. You have to protect your own license. You have to know what that drug is for. Okay? So make sure that your patients are safe. You have your own license? If anything goes wrong, that's on you. You know why? Because you gave that medication. So make sure you know what you're doing. And don't be afraid, to take the necessary steps to research or ask for help or learn about something before you implement it, before you do something. Once it's already done and you're researching it, what value does that have? Okay? So another tip that I have is to enjoy the experience, right? This is an experience. Enjoy it. You're a new nurse. You're taking in all this knowledge. That's an exciting time, right? And you have support. Your preceptor is there to support you. They're there to give you critical feedback that will help to improve your practice as a nurse. Enjoy the experience. You have that very, very close support, right? Of someone who is there observing you and observing what, you can improve on. That's a resource. Take advantage of that resource. Um, Another tip that I have is to build this is the final tip. Make sure you build in a relationship with your preceptor, okay? Be kind. Be human. So one thing that has helped me is when I pack my lunch, I always bring something extra. So I'll bring an extra fruit, an extra candy bar, something that I can share at the moment, That's just sharing is caring. So bring something where it shows that you're human, it shows that you're personable, and also um you want to make sure that you're building these relationships, because at the end of the day, these are your colleagues. These are people who are on your team, right? If something goes wrong, these are the people who are going to have your back, and you want to have people who will go that extra mile to make sure that you're okay. If something goes wrong, if you don't know, maybe a patient codes, you want to make sure that you have someone who knows you and, will go that extra mile to make sure that you're, that they are also part of your team. So those are my tips to dealing with preceptors as a new nurse. If you have any other tips, please comment. Let's share our knowledge and our tips and stuff like that. And please like and subscribe, okay? I appreciate when people like the video, when you subscribe, so that I can know that, this is something that you need, that this is something that is helpful, okay? So thank you for listening. Bye.